I get this question all the time. What should I buy? What's a good business?
What would you say your top 3 most important questions?
The United States, as a country, is going to lose competitive footing on the global landscape. Money now, money later, and money really later.
How do you help people craft a clear direction?
What are you, Mr. Seller, going to do with it?
Thank you for coming by. Thank you.
How are you, Sam?
Doing great. How are you doing, Mr. Kaplan?
Decent. Decent.
Hey, thank you for joining me here on It's Not That Hard. I can't wait to hear your story, talk about, what you got going on, and also, your journey there. So starting off, it's a very interesting story about, Exit 45. What was the origin? And so can you share with me what did Exit 45 first start off as,
Well, let's put it this way. When you're in a business, I think, it's kind of incumbent on you. There's different ways to go about it, right? We're in the M&A business, and you kind of want to know who the players are, and, you kind of industry map, and you look at who's out there doing stuff. And, I have some, I don't know how to code, but I have some level of technical expertise. So you can kind of tell who's got web traffic and this kind of thing. And, you just send emails out there, you put stuff out and see what comes back.
Yeah.
And I found a website really outdated, really super outdated. I shot the gentleman an email. His name was Jim Stoddard. 40 years in the business as a business broker. And we started negotiating.
What's the name of the website?
Listen to this. How to plan and sell a business.com.
I see. How did you find it?
Using tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs, for the audience who knows, these are ways you can go research who's got traffic, and you can kind of competitor map based on keywords. So, I was looking at different keywords in the space because I was thinking about doing, a website, trying to create traffic. And this is before AI. I probably wouldn't do this again. But now, it's a little different. But so, yeah, we approached him, negotiated, came up with the transaction, took maybe 30 days from first chat to close, and started trying to optimize the website, build content. Well, I told you I don't know how to program. I don't know how to code.
How'd you negotiate that deal there? I know this is a very interesting story how'd you structure that? Sometimes the deal is, we talk about, go to SBA, right? Getting debt financing through that, cash up front. How'd you structure the acquisition of that website?
Yeah, I tried to do it just straight earnout because, he's a broker, he knows. And we kind of went back and forth. It's a game of chicken always. I don't know. It's kind of petty, really. But he was like, well, just name a price. What do you think this is worth? And I don't know. I like to give 3 offers. I don't just give 1 offer. So I gave him 3 different offers. And if I remember right, it was 20 grand up front, just cash. And then there was an intermediate one with a long-term note, like a seller note, and some cash up front. And the other one was a straight earnout with a higher price, something like this. And he's right. He's like, well, look, you do 1 transaction off the back of this thing and it pays for the whole kit. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess that's true. But is that really going to happen? And then not only that, okay, he built the thing. This is in the weeds. He built it on Concrete 5, which is now totally obsolete.
What's that?
You know what WordPress is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. WordPress is what everybody uses. And he built this on this is a subcategory of software, it's content management system. Yeah.
Okay.
So he built this in a content management system, Concrete 5, now obsolete. So we had to redo the entire site. I could not add blog posts to the website. I could kind of go into what was already existing, but I couldn't delete things. It was just a mess, So I was like, well, I kind of knew this going into it. I'm like, dude, look at, Jim, look at this deal. There's no way, I don't know what it's going to cost, and I don't know what damage it's going to do once we fix the software.
Is that why you offered three different structures? Is that what do you normally offer?
No, that's
three?
my SOP. I always do that.
You always offer.
I always
you
offer
do
three.
three. Why
Yeah.
is that?
And can you re-explain again, like what the three buckets are that?
Yeah, so call it like 20 grand up front.
What all deals? Like what?
Just all cash. So
was that all deals or specific? So like, do you,
Yeah,
so
all
one
deals.
one is
All
the
deals.
cash. One is okay. You
All deals. And you kind of skew the metrics to like favor what you actually want to do. Sometimes I'd rather just do straight cash and like low price.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd rather do a blend. In other ways, I'd rather do straight seller fi or earn out or some combination of where, money now, money later, money really later,
Yeah. So it says cash, seller finance, or earnout. Or
These are the three major building
yeah.
blocks.
Yeah.
But it depends on the asset, right? So really the core components of transaction, it's cash up front. What kind of payment over time are we talking about? And then the big one, which a lot of people don't really think much about, is the reps and warranties. So if the traffic goes down, like in this example, you might say, well, if the traffic goes down by X, that note is going to reduce. And the more that you have reps and warranties, the more you want to have on a seller note so that you can offset.
Yeah. So it's
Part of
nice
the contract.
And that's how you structure the earnout. And an earnout, is a contingency-based payout based on performance. I just structure that with the
Website. Earnout, he's a business broker, so he's seen some
notes of that.
He's seen some BS, So, I told him, look, I'll be a open book about it. This whole thing, he's not gonna do it.
Yeah. So which one did you guys go with?
So it was a 7-year note at 5% for $100,000.
Okay. Okay. So it was seller finance.
Seller finance.
Yeah. Sure.
And so, would I do that deal again? I don't know. I not knowing what I know now about AI and just the search, trend.
It was today.
Yeah,
It'd be different,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Opposed to
Yeah.
So how'd you you were sharing the website was it's older than WordPress, like you couldn't do things but I know that you updated it. How'd you transition?
Yeah, I did an equity deal because I prefer to do equity over debt.
Why is that?
I like to share the pie, and if you're in the deal, I know you got an incentive to make it work.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just a note or just I'm paying you up front, are you really going to try as hard?
Yeah.
You might, like, I've got a buddy right now doing a drone business for commercial real estate. Super cool what he's talking about doing. And he had a meeting this last week, and he said, because he's dealing with an asset manager. She's got, billions under management for commercial real estate. And he was talking to her about, he's pitching it. Here's what I think, what would the value of this be? Blah, blah, blah. Would you guys do this? She's like, yes. And also I want equity in it. And so if she takes equity, now the question is, do you think this woman knows other people who are managing these same assets in other areas? The answer is yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now she's got a real hard incentive to go and grow that business. And if it was just straight cash, it's not there.
Yeah. So your preference is to give equity, or when partnering up or hiring a vendor or seeking out resources there, opposed from paying cash up front, you prefer to go the equity route so that they have more skin in the game.
Yeah.
And to help ensure that the success of they're not just in it for the cash payment that you're paying them monthly or whatever. It's they want to see the long term.
Yeah. Well, I call it horse trading. I mean, we can, we're in
horse trading?
Yeah, I call it horse trading. We're in Dallas.
Why is that?
Because we're in Dallas.
Okay.
And the guys who are there's a great history, kind of in Texas of people who had horses, horse trading. I don't know. I mean, but a lot of the good oil guys, who I got a lot of respect for them.
Yeah.
That built their fortunes in the oil patch. They call it horse trading, so might as well.
Prior to Exit 45, you were part of it. I think your dad had a pool landscaping business
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and you were in the acquisition side, right? Buying up routes and things like that. There, explain, just share with me how that aided you with Exit 45, and just share what was that experience like?
Well, let me even back steps out. So now the model with the Exit 45, I thought, well, okay, we can do kind of a lead gen type service model for business brokers, and there's different ways to monetize it. Maybe sell some valuations, do some other kind of work as it relates to that. But as I kept thinking more and more about it, and this is guided, so the thrust of the website now is really geared towards how do you sell that owner operator who's doing let's call it $500,000 in revenue. And the problem in the industry, generally speaking, at the brokerage space, where you're kind of sub private equity, is that, everybody's going after the same deals. Everybody wants basically to see at least $1 million in revenue and preferably like $500,000 in cash flow. And this is like down the fairway for SBA. Okay. Well, that's one way to transact. But that doesn't work at sub $500,000. And not only that, most brokerage firms, they're doing 20, 30,000 minimum transaction fees, right? Some less, some more. Depends how hungry they are. The problem is the hungrier they are, they don't have the experience, right? So if you're sub $500,000 in revenue, and
As a seller.
as a seller,
As a
yeah,
seller.
to clarify, as a seller,
Okay. Yeah.
if you're sub $500,000 in revenue, you got 1 to 4 or 5 employees.
Yeah.
Could be retail, could be the trades, could be manufacturing distribution. Doesn't really matter. You're kind of left in the dust because you're going to transact. If you're going to transact at $250,000 and you got $30,000 transaction fee, well, it's palatable, but it's not that palatable.
And that's where Exit 45 does it differently.
Right.
Than the
So the problem, there's 3 ways to think about kind of consulting and coaching and teaching in this whole space. There's DIY. There's DIY as a solution. There's done with you, and then there's done for you. And Exit 45 is DIY, and we'll probably end up doing some done with you, but we're not going to do it for you. And I think that's really how you help these smaller businesses transact. But of course, that's almost all of what I bought in the pool business. And okay, so to be fair, it's pool and landscape, right?
Yeah.
So we were doing a roll up, did it for 8 years, and we did pool maintenance, lawn maintenance, landscaping. We didn't build, so it was all aftermarket, in the pool space and the landscape business.
Yeah. So, in the the acquisition space of pool and landscaping businesses there, what did you see as the challenges, and what was the size of the firms that you were acquiring there and the challenges faced?
So the first deal we did was an SBA loan, and revenue on that business was like $1.3 million, but it really wasn't a good $1.3 million.
What do you mean by that? Was it a good $1.3 million?
Well, it's not just, this is an important thing when you're looking to buy. It isn't just the top line figures that you got to look at. It's also, what is the quality mix of customers that you're buying when you buy this asset? And we found out after we bought it that the mix of quality was maybe not quite as good as we would have liked in that business. Bumped our heads along, because at the time I'm 23.
Yeah.
My
I don't
brother-
know if the mix of quality was in like.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it easier to sell to someone who has money or doesn't have money?
Someone that has one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of people who, and God willing, God love them, but a lot of retirees on like fixed income. And so, they're stretching.
That was the client mix.
A big mix of the client space was people. It's not just whether they have the money or not. It's also whether they're willing to spend it with you or not. Do they value their pool maintenance company, right? And so we had a whole bunch of people who either didn't have the money or really didn't like paying for this pool, you know, because psychologically, a lot of people who buy this stuff, I mean, it's really a tragedy. I think if people buying pools fully thought through this, then there'd be a collapse in the pool business, which is
If only thought they were buying a pool and more.
because a great percentage of people are buying pools because they really want their grandkids to visit them.
Oh,
Okay, a pool is at least 100.
I kind of want a pool. Just like it's hot.
I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm saying it's a good 25%. So
It's expensive.
it's expensive. It's not just what it costs to build; it's what it costs to maintain.
Yeah.
Stuff breaks twice a year, and so yeah, there's the monthly maintenance bill, and then you also have to fix a heater. It just things break, right? And if those retirees were to spend that money, I don't know, on just like taking everybody on a vacation, that'd probably be better off, right?
So that's what your face is. They didn't want.
So that, by the way, that customer is every time they get a bill, it's a reminder that their grandkids didn't come visit, and I'm stuck paying for this, right?
So did you always have to deal with moving them off the ledge of canceling?
Yeah, I mean,
How'd you
imagine? Look, my temperament is a little bit more. Well, what do you want to do? I mean, it's not up to me to convince you that you need to maintain your pool. I mean, you could go find something cheaper, but like, the quality is going to dip. And so like, pay me now, pay me later.
And how successful was that?
I mean, I will tell you this, the quality mix of our clientele dramatically improved over the 7 years. And so that was the first acquisition. We did $1.3 million. We ended up, so in 3 months, which by the way is very common in the pool business, we turned almost, except for one, and he didn't make it another year. We turned every employee, in front office where they're actually out in the field cleaning pools.
Okay.
So spent a lot of time. I have cleaned so many pools.
So being upfront and honest with them helped reduce the churn and just shore up and clean up the clientele base there, in which 7 years later you guys didn't have that.
Well,
churn.
I think of it like this. Bad customers are going to make it their job to make sure you don't make money on them. Okay? They'll call all the time. They're going to try to nickel dime you. You're better off just, hey, this is not a fit,
So the tactics would be honest with bad customers.
Yeah.
Be honest to
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I didn't get into business to be a pushover, you know what I mean? And so
Why did you get into business?
I don't know what else I'd do.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I going to get a job?
Hey, they say, if, the ideal thing is to love what you do and every day approach it like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that cheeky, but like, genuinely speaking, like, I really love what I do. And I think there's a few reasons for it. One is the people aspect. So, I think the ability to develop deep relationships with people that you work with, I think that is part of the game. That's why I like it. So on one side. And the other side is trying to read people and try to predict their behavior. Yeah. And so it's because people are they're probably the most complicated thing in business, right? And so as you get older and you're doing more and more things out there, trying to hone that skill, I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing that I like about business is that I kind of look at business strategy and all of these businesses as little pieces on the chessboard. It's not just what's in your industry, it's also what could, Porter's Five Forces come in and invade, or where could you invade? So it's a little it's a lot of strategy.
Yeah. So what industries, now, fast forward to Exit 45 there and your prior experience there, how do you guide your clients, and what industries what industries do you find are the most adept for buyers to get into?
I get this question all the time. What should I buy? What's a good business? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of good businesses out there. Question is what is best for you? If I'm buying an asset, and I got people right now advising, we're having conversations about it. If I know I can buy an asset basically at fair market, I don't need to steal it, but if I can buy it at fair market and I can add at least 25% P&L by pulling one or two levers, either it's something I'm bringing to the table or it's something the seller overlooked, that's a good deal.
Regardless of industry.
Regardless of industry.
Okay.
But the question is can you manage it? And if you can't manage it, do you know somebody who can? And is that a good trade, right? So is it ROI positive? I mean, nobody hires an employee if the employee is going to cost them more than they're going to make.
Oh, that's true. If you lose money, then yeah, your business goes.
It's a bad deal.
Yeah, that's a terrible deal there. So okay, and then with Exit 45 there, and what does it look like now from the prior website there that you had to revamp? What's the differences, and then what have you seen that the positive impacts that you've incurred with the shift in your website?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, we've added a couple of different tools sort of as lead gen captures, trying to add more and more content to the website. We've got a valuation calculator that, when you sell a business, it's not what you need. It's what the market will bear.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just the first step in a gut check as to what your business might actually go for. And, it's not rocket science, but a good gut check is a decent place to start. 1, 2, we've added a seller's discretionary earnings calculator. And so, I don't know the level of sophistication of the audience, but seller's discretionary basically is pro forma. So post-close, what should a buyer expect to take home, including their own salary? And so we've got a basic calculator up there on that website for that reason. And people like it. People really like it.
Do you find it hard conveying a message to sellers that in the price of the business is what the market would bear?
You have to wrestle with the psychology of this whole thing. And do I find it is a more difficult conversation than what we're doing right now. Okay. But when you actually start asking the right questions, I think, kind of in a Socratic way. I mean, not that I'm some philosopher or something, but if you ask the right questions, you can lead them to the right conclusions.
So what are the most important questions? What would you say your top 3 most important questions to ask a seller?
Okay, you want to negotiate? You own a pool business, and I approach you, and you go, yeah, I might sell. What do and you tell me what you want. And I might say something like, this is a great asset. I can't really imagine why you'd want to sell it. Why would you even really consider selling this?
So the first question is why? Why do you
Right.
want to sell? Yeah.
Right? So what is the motivation that is? Because people do things to solve problems. Sellers sell businesses to solve problems. Buyers buy businesses in the hopes of solving problems.
Because if a seller is they don't have a clear direction, right? And I've seen countless times there's not a clear direction of the why behind it. You find yourself wasting time.
This is exactly this is why I'm asking that question. Because if you have no vision of the future, that means that I got to help you crystallize that vision. And the problem with a lot of sellers is that their identity is so intertwined and wrapped up in their business. Were they to sell the business tomorrow, they have no purpose in life anymore. So you got to find a new purpose post-close.
Yeah. So the first one is why. Well, what are the other 2?
Right. So why do you want to sell this business? And then the question is, because you're going to say, okay, well, I want $2 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. Why on earth? Okay, if I gave you this money, let's say it's worth it. Let's say I got it. If I gave you this money tomorrow, what would you do with it?
So the first question is why. Second is how much do you want to sell your business for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a number. And there's always a back and forth on this, but give me a number. What were you thinking just as a range? And sometimes you got to loop 3-4 times on it to get them to tell you it. some people will just not do it. And then I'll just go, okay, well, look, this business, comps are at this. So this is the range, roughly where you're looking at. Now there's ways to move it up and there's ways to move it down.
Yeah. And then you say the third one is, what would you do if you got your number, or what's it?
Let's pretend, for example, that I hand you a pile of cash for what you asked for this business. What are you, Mr. Seller, going to do with it? And what you'll find is especially if they're retiring, what they're doing with the money, they're going to put it in stocks, they're going to put it in bonds, and they're going to try to get 4 or 5% a year. Now, I'm buying a business, let's say, and cash on cash. So if I bought it cash, I'd be making 33%, 35%, 40% or better per year. So if they kept it, they'd be making that return.
Yeah. But that's not typically, why they sell there, there's a multitude of different, it's not just strictly I can make more in return there. And say, how much time
It totally depends on their motivations, right? So they go, okay, well, maybe I need a succession plan. Like, I want to see what this is gonna like. I need to hand the reins off.
So how do you address, when they're, you stated, when you ask the why, no clear direction, how do you help them craft a clear direction, or do you help them craft a clear direction?
Depends on if I really want to buy the asset. I mean, so.
And this thing, so are you more in the buyer's hat or as an advisor there selling the business, or do you take the approach of like, as an advisor, do I want to buy the business when you're working with your clients?
I think it's case by case basis. Look, I'm open to buying something. I'm open to buying anything. I'm open to help advising the seller to maximize price and speed, terms, try to hit their goals. Like, I've got a client right now, and he's like, it's not about the money. My mom, unfortunately, she's sick, and I got to get out of it. So, we're papering up right now, and hoping to close maybe end of, let's call it next month. His motivation isn't money. Now he's getting a good deal based on what I think a good deal would look like, but it's not what I think, it's what he thinks.
So, and a lot of advisors don't take that approach, as a buyer's hat in it, would I buy the business? So taking that approach of that duality there, what would you say that aids you or may negatively impact you there, taking that approach with the seller to help guide them in the clarity of, if I was a buyer, would I buy the business, opposed from just strictly being an advisor, like, I just sell your business. I'll just focus on what will the market, what will buyers pay for, not necessarily whether or not I will pay for it. What do you, how does
Well,
that
so
approach
you're gonna get a whole slew of different types of buyers out there. Some have never done a deal, and like they don't even know the right questions to ask. And like, if you sign an engagement with a seller, your responsibility is to them.
So taking the approach as yourself being a buyer, that aids you in when you go to the market.
Look,
you mentioned on the buy.
I've run businesses, I've bought businesses, I've sold businesses, and I've advised on all the above. So I kind of know the psychology of all the sort of players in the space, and each of these different cohorts have different sort of customer avatars, or like what problems are they trying to solve. For example, on the buyer side, you might have somebody who is corporate W-2 and they're trying to buy freedom. They're trying to buy their retirement. That's a very common buyer type. So that person, the way that you communicate and sell to that guy is very different than a strategic who's in the business. They're trying to buy revenue. They're trying to buy employees. They're trying to buy strategic positioning in the business.
I see. Okay. And I'm curious here, with Exit 45, the new website there you shared about, it'd been a lot easier if you had AI. How do you utilize AI to help sell the businesses that you for your clients?
Look, I use it. So first of all, I use AI every day, 4 or 5 hours a day now. I mean, it's become so dominant. So helps me. So instead of me recording my thoughts on a memo or something like that, and then getting a transcript, I just have a conversation with AI, and that spits out the content. And I'm adding this to either the website or my course. One, but two, I built frameworks on how do you qualitatively screen people for a match, whether you are your culture of your business and so on and so forth is actually compatible with them. I've got frameworks for how to create leverage in negotiation. So, I've got 4 or 5 different frameworks now that you can train AI on how to think with that lens in mind. And then as you're having conversations with buyers or sellers, so on and so forth, you can recap your conversations with them into the AI, and it'll tell you, hey, it'll update it as it goes.
And and with the learning, of AI and the tinkering with it to train it better and better models, there, do you think the growth in AI is going to decrease the value of hiring an advisor or hiring?
Oh, that's an interesting question. The thing about AI is that garbage in, garbage out. AI is trained up on what is functionally the corpus of knowledge that's on the internet. But the thing is that, and it wasn't even, even before AI, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sturgeon's Law. Okay.
Jog on memory.
Yeah, so okay, it's kind of an adaptation of the Pareto principle, 80-20. Well, most people are actually not experts in their business in a way that they are delivering different, like really meaningfully different results. So most of the internet are people who have been in the business for a long time, but they're not innovating, they're not doing anything interesting, they're not doing anything new. It's rinse and repeat of the same stuff. And I think AI is trained on that. So the advisors who are doing top tier work and are delivering top tier results, it's like everything else. We're just going to further and further skew the table towards the guys who, the guys at the top make all the money, and then the ones at the
That
bottom.
do high quality. So,
Yeah.
so you don't believe that the growth in AI will decrease the value of an advisor? Is just going to shift to really like it? You have a clearer picture and who's good and who's not, because the fact of the matter that that what's going into the models there aren't the top guys.
It's kind of like having the average advisor in your pocket. And so, with that, you could get average results. Is that going to mean that you're going to get less results? Like, are you going to get less people paying retainers and in signing engagements and so on and so on? I think the brokerage space needs to adapt. I mean, it is no longer the case where we can keep doing what we have been doing for the last 40 years. It's just not going to, this is not a sustainable model. I think as advisors, we have a responsibility. Everyone talks about silver tsunami. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, supposedly it's happening right now. But if we don't manage this transition well in the next 10 years, the United States as a country is going to lose competitive footing on the global landscape. And so, we have a responsibility as an industry to make sure that we're delivering better results for buyers and sellers.
Well, I like it. Bold statement. I like that.